Hi, this is Heidi, episode 28, Own Your Emotions. Life isn't a spectator sport. The greatest rewards come to those who show up every day with a pocket full of courage, grit, and some sparkle. Happy March! I'm sending out a happy birthday to my sister Robin in Utah. She is still 25 like me. How's that? But she's a great sister. I wish she lived closer to me. But luckily we get to see each other every so often, and that's awesome. Okay, today's episode is on a coaching tool and concept that has literally changed my life. And as you understand it and see it in action, it can change how you manage your emotions and show up for yourself and for others. I've touched on this multiple times in several episodes, and it deserves an entire episode, and we're going to keep on coming back to it. This concept is that of emotional childhood and emotional adulthood. Now, I was trained in depth on this with Brooke Castillo and certification with the Life Coach School. Trained in how to help clients see where they go in and out of it. But the underlying science of it is a natural element to us being humans. Understanding this concept is a way to help us manage our emotions and create what we want in this life. So before I go into it more, I want you to know emotional adulthood isn't a place we land and then never go back to the childhood. When we all turn 18, we're considered adults and our legal rights change. We're in a new phase of life. This idea of emotional childhood and adulthood is a more fluid concept. It's possible to go in and out of these in just one situation as we change our thoughts and develop awareness for ourselves. I'll give you lots of examples of that. But I do not want you to judge yourself or beat yourself up as I give you examples and you see yourself in the emotional childhood or blaming others for your feelings or so forth. I do that. Then I catch myself, and we'll talk through that. So listen first for awareness and then for application. So first, emotions are very useful. They are how we experience the world. Emotions fuel our bodies to do or not do anything. That is why it's so important to manage our emotions. And this is why knowing where our emotions come from and taking full responsibility for them is critical to us living to our highest potential, and also being humans that other humans want to be around. So as children, our brains were not totally developed, and we didn't understand exactly what was creating our emotions. Children think that things outside of them are making them feel a certain way. And adults perpetuate this idea when we say, oh, do this or don't do this. It's going to hurt Susie's feelings. Or I will give this gift to this person to make them happy. I see this around the holidays or birthdays in our house. I see the anticipation that my children have that they're going to get things that are going to make them happy or make them feel some other emotion. And this is all developmentally very appropriate. The reality, though, is that the gift isn't what will make them feel happy or maybe disappointed. The thought they have about it is what creates that emotion. But children don't have that awareness, and a lot of adults don't either. That is why this is so important to understand. We all want certain emotions. We want more joy or excitement or love. We want them so much that if we think something outside of us will give us that emotion, we then do anything and everything to get it. Which is why young children throw temper tantrums or beg nonstop for something. They want the feeling they will have when they get it. So emotional childhood is blaming things outside of us for emotions we feel and then blaming something outside of us for then the actions we take because we're feeling those emotions. When we feel like we need to control other people or every situation, we're in emotional childhood. We want things to go a certain way, thinking those things outside of us are creating whatever feeling that we're going to have. Then we blame those outside things if they don't go the way we want to control them to go for our negative emotions. When in reality, everyone gets to act and feel whatever way they want to. As parents, there are certain elements of our family lives that we do have control over. But ultimately, our kids get to make their choices. And no matter what, they always choose what they think and feel about a circumstance, including what they think and feel about us. But again, children are supposed to be learning and growing, and they don't have a mature brain that can differentiate the way an adult brain can. Kids are supposed to feel embarrassed because they think a teacher is talking about them to another teacher, or they're supposed to be mad or embarrassed at the coach when they aren't picked for the varsity team. Maybe even we know how kids will hit someone out of anger, blaming the other person for the anger. What happens is that we mature and no one sits us down and explains to us about our emotions and about what we are responsible for. Now, my second son just spent a week in driver's ed classes last week, a full week. So we have these very structured classes for learning to be responsible to drive, but we don't have classes to teach our children about managing their emotions. And we gradually teach them and hand over financial responsibilities, but rarely does a child go off to college and realize, oh, hey, I'm now responsible for what I'm feeling. Nothing outside of me is making me feel a certain way. And this is why we have a lot of adults living their lives in emotional childhood, wanting to blame external people or things for their emotions. And this also looks like always being the victim, not wanting to take control for our lives. But really taking control of our thoughts and emotions and then how we act in the world is emotional adulthood. And this is where we take full, and I mean full, responsibility for how we feel. And this is super amazing because our emotions are how we experience life. So this means we have complete power and control to create whatever emotion we want. Now, emotional adulthood is also where we know we can handle any feeling that comes our way, that it's just a vibration or something we feel in our body. It won't kill us. It will pass, maybe quickly, but maybe over time. Now, this means we're okay and understand life includes negative emotion, but knowing how we are creating it is what gives us the power. Now, this is where clients say, well, isn't it true that some people say things that are mean, or I'm going to be hurt when my teenager says these awful things to me? Yes, there are people in the world who will do or say or not do things with the intent to hurt you or make you feel some negative emotion. Here's the secret. As an emotional adult, what they say or do not has no effect on us until we think something about what they say or do. Imagine your sister says something mean, I'm putting mean in quotes, about you to your mother. She says it on Sunday. Well, you're having a wonderfully happy and relaxing Sunday. Your mom tells you what your sister says on Monday. You then feel hurt on Monday because of the thoughts you have about the words your mother says to you. You don't feel hurt on Sunday, which is when the conversation took place. Sunday, you were having happy thoughts about other things. Now, yes, it's okay to feel hurt. Even as I've learned and used these tools, I've been hurt. And I find myself in emotional childhood as I try to process something that's happened or how I interpret something. Now, this is where there's so much power in saying to ourselves, I feel hurt. I'm thinking this person shouldn't be saying this, but they are saying it. So this is like arguing with reality. So we've already lost that battle if we want to stay there. You can also say to yourself, I'm hurt. I'm creating that. Is there some part of me that agrees with the comments or thoughts? Because this is usually where the self-judgment and hurt come from. There's a deep part of us that maybe agrees with the criticism. Not always, but sometimes. Now that you own the source of the hurt, you get to decide what you want to think about this other person. Again, you don't have to think happy thoughts at all, but you get to choose what you think about them and about you. The result of this is so amazing. You can literally break a big hurt cycle here. This is exactly where you get to choose how you act in response. A child will want to hurt the other person who they perceive hurt them. It's like our knee-jerk reflex. I'll hurt someone who hurt me. But emotional adulthood is us saying, I'm hurting me. I'm okay with the hurt. because it's an emotion that will pass with time, and how I want to act if or when I'm in the situation with this person is my choice. What does it look like to act in my integrity? And the answer to that is always individual and specific to the circumstance. Maybe you ignore the situation. Maybe you talk to the person. Maybe you get curious to see if the person is right, or get curious to see if accurate information was even passed on to you. Lots of options. But owning the responsibility for our emotions and actions is what gives us the options. We are empowered. We aren't at the mercy of other people, and we aren't victims to what others say. It seems harder and more mature or adult like to need to own the emotions in our life. But this is what is cool too. When we own the positive emotions in our life, we get just as much leverage and power back. This new outfit doesn't make me feel confident. Our thoughts while we wear that outfit are what make us feel confident. Maybe a thought like, I like how I look in these jeans, or even as simple as, I like me. That thought creates the confidence, not the clothes. The new and fast car isn't making us feel happy. It's what we're thinking inside the car that makes us feel whatever we feel. A thought like, I love sitting in new leather seats without crumbs on them. Or, I'm glad I can afford this nice car. Or, I'm so glad I have a new dependable car I can trust. Whatever the thoughts are, they create the emotion, not the item itself. Now, watch how you think and feel when you get something new, or you're happy or joyful. Those are thoughts you can use to create those emotions whenever you want. I'll share how this works in coaching. One of my clients was sharing with me a time when she felt so happy and proud with her family, and she described what a child had done, and she thought it was because of this child she was feeling happy. Then I asked many questions. What was she thinking at that exact moment? We took several minutes for her to examine the exact thoughts. She was thinking, I'm a good mom, and I'm so glad my children are learning these things from me. Those thoughts created the happiness. And if she needs thoughts in the future to create those same emotions, maybe even when the kids aren't doing something that we like, we can use them. They will create the happiness regardless of what the children are doing or saying outside of us. Now, another reason to pay attention to the thoughts is because the dopamine hit of anything new doesn't last forever. It passes. The new jeans are going to become old jeans one day. The new car isn't so new 6 years later and 25 road trips later. There's nothing wrong with buying new clothes or even a new car, but we don't want to do it from a place of wanting that thing to change how we feel. And often we get new things to buffer from possibly feeling something negative. And when we need instant gratification, like little children do, we always end up with a net negative because we eat too much, or we buy too much, or we do whatever too much, instead of just feeling what we need to feel in the moment. Now back to another example that commonly comes up with clients. How do I process past abuse? Of course, you want to feel and allow the pain of past abuse. The power comes in knowing that the past doesn't have control over us now. It's only my present thoughts about the past that make me feel pain or possibly shame or guilt, or maybe understanding and peace are available. The only thing hurting us today is what we think today. In fact, many people feel they've been victims in their past. They can feel such tremendous power when they're taught that today they can choose what they think about that situation. The knowledge that the past abuser can't hurt them any longer. No one can come into their head and make them think or feel anything. They don't have to be victim anymore if they don't want to. Helping people push pause and examine their thoughts is one of the most rewarding parts of coaching. And I don't have an agenda for a client to feel better or feel anything. Everyone gets to decide if they keep their thoughts or change them to more serving thoughts. Often it takes a little bit of sitting in awareness to then decide we want to feel something different. So emotional adulthood, again, isn't saying, oh, you want to always feel good. Instead, it's understanding life is going to be 50-50, 50% positive and 50% negative. And I talk about the emotional roller coaster our teens might be on and how they often want to give us tickets to ride the roller coaster with them. Our teens, despite their trying, don't have control over our thoughts or emotions. If they want to get mad, they're going to do it on their own. They don't make us mad. Our thoughts make us mad. Maybe thoughts like they shouldn't be acting this way, or that's disrespectful, or I'm a bad parent, or this child fill in the blank. We can still be mad, but don't blame the child for you being mad. The other day, my daughter was getting mad when I was taking away her electronics for the night. But I kept telling myself, she can be mad. It's okay. I don't have to be mad at how hard she's making it. I can be calm and stand my ground. It's okay for her to think and feel whatever she wants. Because if I get mad because she's mad, I'm mirroring her emotion, which I talked about in depth in episode 22. I don't have to be irritated when my sales clerk is irritated. Emotional adulthood is allowing other people to be how they are and owning that we create every emotion we have with thoughts, a lot of them subconscious, and we have the power to control them. If we want to, we can be happy when other people aren't. We can find peace when other people choose worry and fear. In fact, owning our emotions ends up opening up our minds to seeing other perspectives and opinions, and we can even more easily access love and compassion for other people. We aren't trying to control them, and we know they don't have control over us. We don't need them to act a certain way for us to love or accept them. We choose to do that or not, all on our own. Now, before I end, I want to share that I do a lot of things to be nice and kind and hoping that it might brighten someone's day. Maybe sending a text or message or saying a kind word to someone or smiling at another driver, whatever it is. Giving gifts to people, dropping off a quick treat to a friend. I do it because it's in integrity with me and how I'm thinking and feeling. I don't do it to control other people, to maybe force them to think a certain thing or feel a certain way. I do it because it feels good to me. Someone else is going to react however they want. I just know I like who I am and how I show up when I know I can't control anyone else. It's just who I want to be. Now, I don't want anyone thinking that I'm saying we don't act with kindness or love or so forth, since we don't create those emotions for other people. The freedom on the flip side is that we know we have the agency to control how we respond to everything going on around us. Also, I find when we truly want what we have, we can create ongoing happiness. Looking around my life and choosing how I think about the things or people or even aspects of me when I want and like those things, I don't look outside of me for more and for something outside to make me happy. I think you can do that exact same thing, no matter your circumstances. But don't go judging yourself when you find yourself in emotional childhood and blaming outside things for your feelings. I do it. Just see it. Realize it. Ask yourself what you're thinking and feeling. Say nothing outside me makes me feel a certain way. Remember, you're a human. Unlike when we turn 18, we're going to occasionally go between emotional childhood and adulthood, even in a matter of minutes. Catching it and being aware of our emotions, then thinking, feeling and acting on purpose with full responsibility for ourselves is being in emotional adulthood. And finally, one of the most emotionally mature things we can do is remind ourselves we can handle any emotion, even failure, even shame or rejection, as well as security and excitement and joy. We have the capacity to handle all of it. We become so much stronger realizing we create that emotion and we can endure it. When we really understand and live life with full responsibility, we assume the power to create whatever we want in the future. It's an awesome feeling. I've had this growing excitement inside me for my future, and I have a good life now. But taking ownership is such an amazing feeling. Scary and amazing all at the same time. Now, if you feel like this concept or others I teach can help you take control of your emotions in life, please reach out and set up an intro call and mini session through my website, HeidiBenjaminSinn.com, or via social media. You'll be surprised at how easily you can pivot and take back your power. Changing just one thought can put you on a path to a whole new future. This is what I do every day with clients. I'm great at it, and I can't wait to talk to you. Keep on sharing the podcast, and I'll see you next week.